Welcome back, everybody, to the CCL as we're looking at Alabama Crimson versus Newberry Esports for match number 2 of our day. We just got off a hot 3-0 from Akron Zips, and I couldn't be more excited to get in with these two new teams that I haven't got much time with in a long time since I've seen Alabama Crimson back in Vanguard, Corn.
Yeah, it's the same for me as well. With a new CCL season every week, we get new teams on the broadcast, chances to see some roster changes that we, might not have been able to watch previously throughout the year. But also just being able to kind of take a step back and say, all right, hey, you know what? New opportunity, new year. What can you provide for us this year that maybe you didn't have last year? Is there an upper edge that you're going to be able to provide for us? Or is it going to be kind of like a mid-pack look at your roster where, like, you're just kind of falling to the wayside and you're not really showing much of anything to really start and maybe kickstart something going into the next couple of weeks of the season?
Especially considering with the new year, we got some new schools and Newberry Esports being one of them. But before we talk a little bit about them, let's introduce our Alabama Crimson right now. When we look at them, back in the 22 season, 11-9 in the regular season, they finished a top 96, eliminated in the LCQ. But coming into 2023, they want to turn a new leaf. We got MSJ, Knight, Go Free, and Zach heading this roster. I couldn't be more excited to see, what we get because this is a team who already, has had a tough start to the year facing off against the University of North America and Full Sail, and both being losses.
I mean, yeah, there's a big rank disparity between, sophomore, junior, senior, graduate, student, and that kind of thing, too. So, being able to look at this roster and just be like, all right, how are, these older guys and these younger guys going to mesh together to make a cohesive team? And where does that, I don't want to say, seniority in terms of, how long you've been at the school, but more so, COD knowledge, who takes the IGL role? Who's going to be that rock and stone for your team? And who's going to be able to kind of just say, hey, we need to pull our heads out of your where after an 0-2 start and say, let's get back on track here and find our way on the season. So that's what I need to learn about this Crimson team. Is who is that guy on the team?
Well,
are you him?
Gonna have to
Probably,
figure that
maybe.
Out. Me? No, I don't play for the team. But we're going to find out today who that's going to be and their opponents on the other side. I said new school on the block for 2023 for the CCL. We got Newberry joining the fray. KB, Cells, Freaky, and Diff, freshman, junior. We go back and forth with both of them. Talk to me a little bit about this team, Corn.
Yeah, overall, I mean, again, it's an interesting composition, but this is a team that has only played close series so far early on in the CCL. Yeah. Their couple games that they've played so far have been Game 5 situations where they've gone down to the S&Ds both times. They won one, they lost one, so they've been on the flip side of the coin both times. Really what needs to be shown here is the resilience in the series. I would love to see them win a not so close series. I'd love to see them come out and maybe 3-0 this Crimson roster just for the hell of it, just to say, hey, we did it. This is going to be another peg up for us on the season. But again, being in a situation where you're practicing those late moments where, you get into playoffs or the end of the year, an LCQ situation, whatever it may be, where you're almost guaranteed to go into a longer series if you want to be able to survive it. It's good knowledge to have, but it gives you the advantage of, hey, I've been in this situation many times throughout the season, and even in past CCL seasons where we've seen teams in the regular season who have been in those situations a lot end up pulling out something in the final Game 5 or even a Game 4 to force out a really close series in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, Newberry, you come out, you 3-0 Alabama Crimson, just, to say, we're here, we're new school, but we're ready to compete with the top dogs in CCL. So, yeah, I mean, they even show up on the power rankings for our first time for 2023 in at 21 for the power rankings. So, room to improve for sure for this Newberry roster, but, you like to see it for a new team on the block here in CCL. Let's talk about the head-to-head between both of these two because, again, just like our Akron series, not a lot to pull from, but, fortunately for you and I, Corn, they both played Full Sail Armada, and they both went to a map 5 versus Full Sail Armada. For Alabama, they lost in Game 5. For Newberry, they win in Game 5, winning both the Search and Destroys.
And it's interesting too because again, last year for Vanguard throughout the entirety of Call of Duty, whether you could shake it down from the professional level to the lowest of low amateur leagues, when you looked at things on paper, especially when we have such a limited amount of resources, you really can't pull anything other than the fact of like, all right, they've been in a certain situation. We can kind of predict maybe what we'll kind of see out of this team. But looking at these statistics here in general, like, 2-2 hard point split for Newberry, that doesn't look all that good. I'll be the one to say it. And of course, like the 0-2 though, like on the opposite side,
yeah.
is a lot worse. So sure, we can look at the statistics here and say, oh yeah, maybe Newberry has the upper hand advantage here, but we genuinely don't understand that until we get into the game. And you can only play so far off of the on paper trends opposed to the actual ability of the two teams. But again, there is history in the head-to-head department against a full-sale roster for these two teams, and both of them going to a Game 5 shows me that, at least on paper, they're somewhat evenly matched up.
Well, let's see if this goes all the way to a Game 5 today. And, we stay true to the streak that has been Newberry like Game 5s so far. Let's take a look at our maps and modes for the series to see exactly where we're setting the land between these two teams. We get our bands up top, but when you look at what we get for maps, we got Embassy, El Asilo, Fortress, and Hotel. So we don't get the double dose of Mercado, but we get the double dose of El Asilo.
Yeah, I think my eyes are just pinned on this first matchup in the hard point here. Because from what we've seen on stream in the CCL so far, it's just very polarizing gameplays. It's either dead close between teams, or it's the furthest game that we've seen. My mind immediately goes back to like MoxCOD HPU, where like HPU were able to force like a Game 5 out of Mox and just completely bash them. But then there was another series where like the second series of the day, we went like 250 to like 235 on the map, and it was as close as it possibly could have been. So Mercado and Hotel, or excuse me, Embassy and Hotel kind of do the same thing for me. They give me an early outlook to a series of what I can and might expect out of either of the two teams throughout the rest of the series, whether that be, the decision-making early on in the game. Do we push for the latter half of 20 seconds? Do we get out and rotate early so we can maybe afford ourselves that first 40 seconds of time? Or, who's able to, as we were talking about in the last series, which was a big pain point for Rutgers, who's able to double up and body around the map with the utmost care and be able to fly around and find themselves in opportunistic ways for trades. And once you figure that out, and once you learn that about these two teams, then we can start to assimilate that to the rest of the series, start talking about predictions like, okay, are we going to be able to see those same things in the S&D? Because they roughly should translate over from game mode to game mode. And so Embassy is one of those maps that will give you that right out of the rip, because if you get lost on this map, you will get thrown into the blender immediately.
I mean, I was going to say, Embassy is a relatively smaller map compared to, some of the hard points we have in Modern Warfare 2. Easy to, get lost in it, though. You rotate around. It's the depth, the verticality of it, being the second floor of admin or the top AC. You really get lost in the sauce. If, an AR's got a power position up there and is just watching it like a hawk for every single rotation. Sure. So, for Newberry Esports, showcasing that they're, 2-2 in hardpoint, I'd rather be 2-2 in hardpoint than 0-2 for Alabama Crimson. I think it balls in Alabama's court right now to see, what we get for them in this map number 1. Can they win a hardpoint is the big question mark, because 0-2 at the start of the year, at the start of the season, is not how you want to start, barring, I'd say, personally, when I look at this division, the two opening matches that Alabama Crimson did have are very strong matches, going up against a Full Sail Armada team that has been recently on the rise with some of their new rosters, and, University of North America, who finds themselves atop that Power Rankings roster.
Yeah, I mean, this is a matchup in the Southeast Division, right? So when you talk about the teams in this division, like you got MoxCOD, you got James Madison, and Mars Hill. Those are kind of your top 3 teams with the Dragons in there as well. You'd be amiss to not mention that. So, as much as some of these other divisions feel like, at the top end, maybe there's 2-3 teams who are pretty solidly up there. This division in itself has 4 or 5 teams that could easily be that number 1 team when we start talking about late in the season. So I looked like Mars Hill and the Dragons is my top 2 teams in that division right now. But if you're the Crimson Tide or you're Newberry, you're both looking for new bursts to get back up towards the top, but already losing a match doesn't bode well because all the other teams are still undefeated.
Yeah, just gonna have to wait to see, what we get throughout this division and how these teams match up towards the end of our regular season. But this is only week number 2. We can wait and see how that's gonna shape up. Let's get Alabama and Newberry into this map number 1. Let's get it underway and let's see what we got for an embassy. Hardpoint already gonna be diff, just soaking up as much time as you want. You're gonna want that rotation over to admin, so I can see a lot of these Newberry players starting to, look over towards P4 to see if you can flip these spawns out, and it looks like that's exactly what we're gonna get.
I like what Alabama's doing towards the bottom of the map right now. They're just clearing out all of their angles so they can push back in towards the middle of the map, get some high ground for themselves to where they can rain hell down from the top side, and that's going to allow you to get in towards this point. But of course, I say that, everybody gets cut down. So what Newberry's now going to start doing is they're going to start to push their way up in towards the north side, make sure these players that are coming off the spawns for Crimson Tide can't really get much of a footing on the map, and try to hold down as much as possible over here towards the rotations. And you can see Freaky being the first one here. Stells loses a big gunfight in the back, though.
MSJ on 3 in a row for the opening of this hard point. P2 is going to be exactly where we see player number 8 and 2 about to get into a very important 1v1. Freaky, can you open things up for the rest of the team for the rotation? Yes, you can. You're going to find Zach on the inside, but now it's Nyko's turn. Back over towards that white truck. KB and Cells combined for 2 spree for the rotation here. 45 seconds. MSJ now on 4, still on the spree. And nobody really collecting lots of time. MSJ's just doing enough to stir up the pot.
Yeah, this hill can really turn into a money hill, but when you're playing with two pretty evenly matched teams in the first 2 hills, this can very easily turn into a contest money hill, or excuse me, a contest heavy hill for one of the 2 teams. But last 30 seconds, Crimson Tide want to hold this down. You can see Newberry up and towards the top left of your mini map. They want to set themselves up as best as humanly possible over by P3, but for the time being, Alabama Crimson, they can just kind of hold back for a moment, wait for everybody to get back over towards the hill. They're fine with losing the first 10-15 seconds.
Yeah, and this is a good setup that we get from Newberry. Diff's going to check all the way to the back alley. Shut down Zach. Nyko finds themselves over towards the bridge. You'd love to shut down Cells up top, but stays alive for the moment. You have Freaky to back you up. Alabama still looking for a way in, but this bridge unlocked for now until Freedom gets in, breaks right from that bridge. Still, you have numbers for Newberry, though, and I think that's the important thing. When you have that setup, they clear off enough of Alabama Crimson to get right back into this and soak up a little bit more time. Now Crimson looking for a break with the last 35 seconds.
In a row for MSJ, gets cut down. But I mean, really, what ends up happening there is, Crimson, they were pushing across that top bridge. They wanted to get through into the point, and they won their gunfights there. The problem is they didn't realize that KB had spawned decently close behind them, got up the ladder, and had an easy flank for him. So that was what immediately turned Newberry's, potential demise in terms of the entirety of the hill into Newberry just being able to break on in for the last 30 seconds at times. So that's going to put them up by a solid 30 points here going into the next hill. And yeah, they're going to do the same thing Alabama tried to do the last time through and just make sure that they can all push together. Wonky spawn out of Zach, though. Look for play number 2 to have an artificial flank starting to come through.
Yeah, Freaky got blessed with a spawn over towards P2, and Alabama, they had no read on it, so you see Newberry's going to have a little bit of an emphasis over towards this new hill. The rotation is going to be in favor of Alabama for now. They hear the window break. Freaky should be cut down, and you will be. So this is an excellent rotation for Alabama. Sink their fangs right now into this hill. P4 be all red. So you see Newberry looking for the break from the front of Admin. All 4 players through H. It's going to be Cells. Big win there from Freedom. Can't find a second one. It's a 2 for 1 on the inside. Now can they find the break with the help of Freaky? You can. Nyko's going to be shut down in a moment, but enough damage there that you allow the respawner, Zach, to keep things in favor of Alabama.
I mean, if you're KB, you're using the pixel peek to your advantage. You know that somebody else can shoot you through the exact same angle, so not being able to move out from behind the bar and just forcing yourself in a position where you're going to get broken back for Crimson to get these last 20 seconds of time. I'm not sure I love the play call there. Yes, you might find yourselves early on rotation here, and you might be happy with that, but if Alabama does what they did over on the top of the AC unit, you could very easily be looking at a hard point you're losing for yourself. First gunfight going to come through the back here. Just spotted out.
Nyko, a little shaky shot, still collects the kill. This is the hard point, walking through this door and making no noise will be Freaky. You have no idea he's in this corner. Nyko's going to be dead to rights as soon as you cross that door. Yeah, he's going to find 2. Diff on the front line finds a third. 3 down for Alabama Crimson. And we go, I guess, back and forth for these hills so far. P4 to P5. It's going to be all Newberry at the moment.
The corner, KB continuing to be a difference maker here for Newberry. Inside of map number 1. just little things on the map that he's been able to do on a consistent basis, whether it be that flank on the bridge that he had beforehand or just taking out routes to get spawns for this team. It's been so good for them. You know, Vamp Warriors, love them. But regardless of that fact, like, if you take that off the map, what does Newberry have? They're not really outslaying Alabama by a decent margin. They're not really doing anything super special. They're just making the right plays when it matters.
KB so sneaky there to somehow find your way into bathrooms and a free kill. Will cement your team a little bit of time here for P1. Freedom's going to be on the flank. You see Freaky's going to be watching the orange, and it's an easy kill there to still keep control of this. Another 3 down, untraded Alabama Crimson. They need to start to find some success here in these kills because this is free time that Newberry, they love to pick up in P1. It's something that you don't normally see for a team, and you do find those kills. You clear them off for now, but my big question is how long is going to be KB down here inside of bathrooms just waiting?
I mean, yeah, Zach is on 4 in a row now, but you left Newberry go unchecked for 30 straight seconds, and they got the entirety of the time in middle map. That's a contest-heavy hill where you have lines of sight for your ARs over the top. You have high ground opportunities, and you took none of them. You let Newberry just run through you, and now they have rotations out over towards P2. Sure, you're going to see him spawn up top left, but you still have KB here on 6 in a row. If he wants to invest the streak, he very well can.
Cruise missile going to be collected for Newberry off of KB. Some heroic plays over towards bottom admin, and still no time for Crimson. They get the rotations to P2, but nobody confident enough to get into this hill. And why is that? It's because you got Freaky just tearing up the scene throughout bottom bathroom, making sure that Alabama Crimson can even touch this P2 with a 10-foot pole. Freaky now looking for the rotation, now looking for the players, cutting through admin from MSJ in behind, going to shut him down, get into this time for the last 30 seconds. This is important for Alabama Crimson. They want to get every single drop, but what they don't know is KB again behind them.
That's a crucial 25. You give up all your players. You go in towards the top of AC. You think, okay, well, we're just gonna hold this rotation down and get scrap time. In a perfect world, that sounds amazing. But no, you still have to execute on that and win your gunfights. Yes, you've gotten that initial time over towards this hill as well. But the last time you got, I don't want to say blessed, but you had KB who was able to come through on the flank, and that's the reason that you held down a significant amount of time on the top of the AC unit. This time, Alabama set up.
Yeah, this time they set up, and they're doing a good job at spraying out a lot of these kills. Nobody really needed a spot to make a difference. If you're Newberry, if you find this kill, you'd have loved it, but Zach had the read, and KB's going to invest the cruise missile on this one. You imagine there's a couple of trophy systems, but there's not. Nyko's going to have to back off of that and gives Freaky a little bit of space to push up that bridge, and off the back of this cruise missile, Freaky breaks open the AC hill.
You force everybody into the building. Freaky's able to push up, and then it's just 1, 2, 3. They all challenge separately, and that is what I needed to see out of Alabama Crimson, and that is why they have had such a lackluster start to their season. What could have been an extra 30 seconds of time that they held down towards the end of that hill, they throw it away because they challenge one by one out the doorway. Can't happen.
Nyko's also got a precision airstrike, and one thing that you think about that is that trophy systems do not block that, so if you rotate over to AC again, not going to be easy to hold that hill the second time around if you are Newberry Esports. But inside P4, inside of bottom admin, MSJ in a 1 versus 2. You need to find the kill into KB, but not snapping fast enough. 43 seconds. It won't mount you a win here if you're Newberry Esports, but it'll give you in striking distance of putting this embassy away. You got Diff around the back, making sure that nobody can walk through stairs unchecked. Nyko's going to try to make one last effort with the help of MSJ on his wing. Both players side by side, breaking through, and they get it done. Zach to help out as well. 20 seconds that Crimson need, but now the rotation to P5, you're looking at Freedom.
I mean, at this point in the game, like, you don't have an option. Like, you have to push the scrap time, and you have to push the new hill, and whatever one you do, it's a suicide mission, because Newberry's just going to be able to get out on the jump in front of you, and even if they hold the next 20 seconds of this hill, rotate and grab another 20 seconds, or fight for scrap time, you're still having to fight the two-edged sword of going back and forth between both of the 2 points. So, I mean, if Alabama can win the majority of their gunfights, hell, give it to them, make the comeback, but it just looks a little too late.
Well, now to put this one away, Newberry inside P5, locking it down. You got the back doors closed as well, so Crimson are going to have to make a lot of noise if they want to get the flank going into the seal, but MSJ looks like he wants to walk right through the middle, but nobody's getting even close. They're just boxing them out. You're not finding any kills at all. MSJ has to hit this from the back. Through the door you go. Diff's going to be watching it. KB lines up too. And that's a GG in map number 1. Embassy goes the way of Newberry. They stay strong in the hard points. And for Alabama Crimson, they're going to go 0-3.
Start to finish, it was the same tale. Alabama Crimson would get great timing, good positioning, find themselves a wonderful opportunity on the map, throw it away. Like, they would just throw it away. That streak doesn't find anything. Sure, it forces them into the building, but that's the best thing you could have asked for, because you only had one person at the point still. There was 35 seconds that you could have used to get back into the game, but once you see the other team get to that 200-point mark, you put yourselves in a mental deficit, and then all of a sudden, you're chalked for the rest of the game because you're just trying to play cat and mouse and trail from behind. That's all you're trying to do to catch back up to the points. That's all you can do, because you put yourselves in a deficit in the first place. So, yes, going into the S&D, what are the 3 things that they need to do better? 1, trade some kills. 2, stop going out, moving out by yourself. And 3, win gunfights. That's it. That's all you had to do. You can beat this Newberry team easily. They had so many cracks in their armor that you could have slipped through a lot of the time, and you just didn't take advantage of it, plain and simple.
Hey, you really kind of compare this, between, Embassy and Mercado. They have, a little bit of similarities. Well, in this map between, Akron and Newberry and where they found success, KB was undeniably one of the most important players on the map for Newberry Esports. Constantly rotating around when you least expect it. You get shot in the back by KB, and there's so many rotations that KB was finding. He even gets the cruise missile, and eventually that cruise missile is used to break through AC, where Alabama Crimson almost found majority of their time here inside of this Embassy hard point. So I mean, it's a strong map for Newberry, but you can put a lot of that success on the fact that KB was just inside the enemy lines all the time for free.
No, and we'll see the scoreboard here too. This is where I really wanted to talk about things, because you look on both sides of this coin, and the slaying department is not far away at all. Alabama Crimson, at a point, looked like they were almost going to be able to take the slaying battle directly to Newberry and then force the map for themselves. I use this comparison all the time, but the team that I think of the most, where they're able to just kind of like meander throughout when it comes to the kills, but still soak up all the hill time and make the right plays when they're needed, I think it's TK back in World War II. They weren't a flashy team. They weren't a team that was going to kill everybody around the map, but what they did so well is they sat in the hills, and the kills that they were getting around the map were the important ones. Alabama had so many just non-important kills around the map. They were just filler kills where they were just fragging out to frag out around the map for absolutely no reason. And like 26 and 17 from Nyko right there should tell you everything you need, because yes, there were 22 non-traded kills, but it only equated to himself having 14 seconds in the hill. He wasn't slaying out around the objective. He was slaying out around the rest of the map and not actually helping the rest of the team inside of the hard point when they needed it the most. That's what needs to change. Yes, there's other problems on that team, but that's one glaring issue that needs to change. You can't have a ton of kills and not have any hill time to equate to it, especially when you're running around a map with a sub.
And this is now moving us into the search and destroy, where we move from Embassy over to El Asilo. It's a different talking point, for both of these teams. They've had their successes so far in the new season with search and destroy. Alabama Crimson, yeah, they took one of the search and destroys off of Full Sail, but the game 5 is where they lost. Newberry in that same thing when we're talking about it, they won both of their search and destroys. So both of these teams, they've showed their strengths in this game mode. I think search and destroy is definitely going to be a little bit of a closer affair between both of these two teams, especially going to El Asilo, where a lot of those impactful kills can really be shown at distance. And in the inside of that A site, we are going to be seeing some close gunfights with a submachine gun, where MSJ definitely will look to shine for Alabama Crimson. But I'm excited to get into the search and destroy, because both these teams, they seem like they're relatively close in comparison.
Look, Newberry in their S&Ds, they haven't had a game that's gone further apart than like 6-3 in their final score line. They've had 2 round 11s and then one that went 6-4, and then that one, of course, that went 6-3. But like, they have not played a search and destroy where they have been by far the better team throughout the entirety of it. This might be your first opportunity to be able to smack an opponent down if Alabama continues to do the things that they were doing in the last game. Obviously, those like quote-unquote empty kills aren't going to show up in the most important way in a search and destroy, because pretty much every kill that you get, unless you're in like a 1v3 and you don't win the round, are going to be kills that are going to help out your team in some way or another. But regardless of that fact, if Newberry can play with the same consistency that they had inside of the hard point, with that same pace, and just be able to get the good opportunities that they were afforded, they should win this no problem, just like Akron was able to do against Rutgers in the last series. It looks very similar.
It's funny because when you and I were breaking down the series, writing down all the information, the stats that we needed for this, when we were setting win conditions for both these teams, Alabama, they needed to improve on their hard points. And, you know, they already lost map number 1. You know, if they win a search and destroy, if they win a control, then you go to another hard point where, again, this is, you know, a thing that you will need to take away from Newberry if you want to go to that distance into another map 5. But, you know, for Newberry, we wanted them to, you know, improve on their control. Well, they've already shown a lot of strength in one respawn. You know, control, when we get to that map 3, we'll see if they can find their improvement. But I think they're in a very comfortable spot for Newberry right now with the improvements that you're looking for. Absolutely.
And again, like, it does help that, like, you come into this with previous knowledge of an extensive series, but, like, if you didn't need to improve upon your hardpoint, which Newberry realistically didn't coming into this against a weaker Alabama team, this is just allowing you to hone in and refine your strengths. But the search and destroy can be the exact same story. Cell's going to be out here towards the radio tower looking for a nade over the top. It's going to be good information. He's able to find anything with it, but they'll still back up Alabama for a moment's time. The middle building is just infested with Newberry right now.
Oh, Cells with the perfect spot here on the rock, but there's some nice shots against him. Drops him down to 8 HPs. Diff has a sniper rifle. Thought that was him in map. No, that's going to be KB. That did get that kill. A site under control for now. Zach's going to find their way in, but in 1v3, you're surrounded, and there's no way to swim your way out of that one if you are Zach. So Newberry, they continue with their success from map number 1, and they strike first in the search.
Difficult, man. If you're going to commit to that A-bomb in that aggression towards the middle building, you have to get into that site first, or at least force the opposition to take a steady step back and say, okay, we need to respect them and let them have a little bit of positioning here. Because if you're not able to clear that building out and get yourselves the advantageous positioning inside of the building, you're losing that round 9 times out of 10, especially when you have somebody out playing over towards the radio side and they get cut down quickly. So Newberry on offense this time. Going to look to bring this bomb, at least preliminarily, over out towards this B lane. A sniper there from Freaky will get the first blood off the board.
It's a good start to MSJ. Player I highlighted to have the submachine gun, but if you're on the sniper rifle, that's a different story. Diff's got 1-2, and Diff's shooting just as straight. Let me tell you, that's a second snipe from Diff inside of this map. 2 for 2. That's going to bring life advantage to Newberry.
And this is what this allows to happen. Newberry can start pushing their way over towards his B zone. Get this bomb down and work a 2 versus 2. You have no information on where Cells is. Sure, you're going to know that KB is over by this site, but it really comes down to freedom to make the play here. Get the good timing on the KB over towards his B side if you can.
Cells is all the way up to patio. They have no idea. I mean, they're split if they're Newberry, but it's going to work out in their favor because Nyko, without that information, just shot in the back, and he knows this last player is. Cells is going to set up with this tack and pick them off one by one. Newberry, this is some solid rounds going on. 2-0.
Cells makes a great play. That's the bottom line. He just makes a good play. It's heads up because, again, like it said as it was happening, like they had no idea where Cells was, but they also didn't see freedom. It was just who was going to make that big play first, and it just happened to be Cells to force the 2-on-1 for the team that got the bomb down, and that was like the one thing that couldn't happen for Crimson if they wanted to take a waste there. So the Tide right now, not having a great start to the search and destroy. Back on offense, we'll see what kind of adjustments they make here. Forgot the bomb in the spawn side, and well, you can already see a little bit of discombobulation here. Not exactly sure who is going to be their bomb carrier. And, I mean, that's step 1 in the process, right? You rarely ever see that from any top teams.
Oh, no. But, though, the kills for the Tide right now a little bit better in their favor. It seems like they have the read on Diff as well. Into the back line, you're going to find 2. There's a player there for the trade, but I'm not sure if they were able to get around the pole in time. It was blocking, and Diff is long gone. I mean, I can't believe he got in and out so easily, but now towards K. Spots out a second one, almost dropping that bomb that would have been so big.
Would have been a nice little fortune order for Diff. Now on a 1 versus 2, he's got to look to the site. As well as a player over towards the right. Did he spot his gun out? Nate going to be popped up. Not going to find anything just yet.
Skips right over him, skipping stones, but he still doesn't know Nyko. It should be an easy cleanup as soon as he goes down. The trade is there. So Alabama Crimson, they get the first couple of kills in that round. You know, I mean, you find 3 kills like simultaneously like that. I mean, it's going to put Diff against the ropes any day of the week. But I like the aggression that we got there from Bama because, you know, MSJ, I was talking about him. He was a strong submachine gun in that first map in the hard point, and I wanted to see him continue with that aggression in round 3. We got to finally see it.
Well, good news is Nyko, at least right now, having a nice little start to the search and destroy. About as good as you could ask for out of any one player. But Alabama, they come back on the offense that time. They make the adjustment. They win those first bloods, and they walk away with a good set of kills. Freaky's going to get some information out over towards the left side of the map and knows that Nyko is just going to play that with Zach. They start to work this bomb up. Play that south side of the map that not a lot of people usually take.
Look at this aggression from Cells and KB already into billiards. Is MSJ just on the outside, actually, towards Arcade? And the other side now, Newberry going to have to force some of these gunfights just to get here. And MSJ's tucked away in the corner. That's what I was saying. It's an aggressive angle, and it pays off. They have no idea. MSJ now for 3. Oh, my goodness, Cells. Wow, what a snap there on MSJ. It's still not going to amount to a round win. Bama pull this back to a 2-2 tie. Cells gave me some hope for a second there.
And I mean, this feels good because the one thing that obviously Alabama did have, although it might not have been the most important stat, was slaying across the board. Their guns were warm. They were winning gunfights across the map. It was just timings that they weren't getting the best of. But like again, in the search and destroy environment, when you're able to continuously slay out like you were in map number 1, it's going to work out well for you. I just was concerned because of the different things that they weren't doing. But at least in those bounce back rounds on the offense and the defense, they've proved me a bit wrong. 2 players now going to be out over towards the south side of the map for the ace site. 2 players inside of it. They have nobody over on the B checks yet.
And really doesn't seem like they want to have anybody over towards B at this point. I mean, they find success over to A. MSJ can find a kill up top onto the defender side. I mean, that might really throw Newberry off on what their plan is, but a big opening from Nyko is going to get life advantage over to Bama. Try to force some plays here. Cells, he has no idea that they don't have control, so he walks through that door, and it's a free kill for MSJ. Now it's down 2 kills. Bomb hasn't gone down. I mean, Bomb hasn't even touched anywhere close to the site, and you just look at the amount of aggression you got from this team. Freaky, though. What is that? That was a fast sniff, by the way.
Walks away with the kill, but it's Zach for a trade. 1 versus 2 here from KB in the bottom of the site. He has to go and get that bomb, or at least should know that the bomb is down. Alabama are going to have to work their way back over towards it. KB can play for the information, whether it be footsteps or anything else. This bomb should wrap out over towards B. It'd be the smart play to do here. Obviously, they don't know exactly where this is, but MSJ's going to run through the doorway. First, KB's going to be there. Second one around the corner, jumps into the doorway. KB with the shots there. 2 in a row inside of the bomb site. He'll cut him down, send him back to the respawn block. Newberry back on top of the 3-2 lead.
It's just the wrong call. It's just all day, it's the wrong call. You have no information from Bama on the players inside the A site, but you clear everything around LSE low to the outskirts. You might just think that that B site is everything that you're hoping to be empty. You get the wrong call there, and I don't know what the call to bring bomb patio was, but it really puts Bama against the wall.
I think the play call was just like, okay, well, we're in behind them. We're playing ratty on offense, which you rarely ever see. They're just coming into our little corners that we're sitting in because they're trying to get some information on where everybody is on the map, but they weren't able to get it. Like in a 1v2, like you have to know that the player's probably going to be playing over inside of the A site, just trying to play like a rat and find an isolated 1v1.
Let's get bounce back from Newberry to stop the bleeding for now. Freedom might get some free real estate into billiards, uncontested, unopened even. Looks like Newberry just hoping to play for a mistake at this point, and it looks like they got there. Zach oversteps. Freaky's going to bite. Opening pick in favor of Newberry, and you look at every single player of Newberry, they did not move an inch off of that. Nyko finds the trade.
Look at MSJ. MSJ has such free real estate through the backlines right now. And if he's able to play this in with Freedom, who has the inside of billiards, oh, this could be a break back in towards a site that they are just not ready for.
No, both players in spawn for Newberry. 2 players side by side on the inside of the A site, but MSJ is going to find cells towards billiards. Shuts down the player.
They're trapped.
Watching from above, and yeah. Both players for Newberry trapped on the inside. It's a 3 versus 2. You need to play the trades here if you're Bama, and this should be a free round to even us up. Freaking KB, they gotta go big. They got the crossfire. But is it gonna be enough? Freedom from the outside. KB wins it. 2 versus 2 behind the couch. Not enough for the kill, but the nade's gonna land. Freaky. 1 versus 1. 17 seconds, Bama. They've thrown this out the kitchen sink right now. 12 seconds left, Corn. And Nyko, he has no idea where Freaky is. He is just playing the guessing game. Finally gets eyes on, but there's no time. Freaky plays it perfect.
I wish you could see my face right now. What was Nyko doing? You have the information that the nade was thrown from inside of the site. Did he just not get a call out from that? They were both in the site. You knew where the nade came from. I literally, like, you watched it get thrown. If you're one of the Bama guys, you have to tell your teammate in that situation that he's in the bomb site. That is inexcusable.
It's a breakdown from Bama in round number 6, to say the least. 3 versus 2. Newberry says no problem. No problem. We're going to clutch up, and Freaky goes big. With the nade from, I guess, the Shadow Realm. We'll say. Opening pick from Bama. The second one as well. They break through A with their guns. Sel's going to weed out Zach with a nice place nade, and he finds a second there to even us up.
It's just another situation where Alabama gets the advantage, and then Newberry just ties up everything that they had for them. Good flank on the back route is going to be MSJ. So this forces a 1 versus 2 from Cells. Dead silence is popped. You spot him towards the top. You find the information, but you have 30 seconds left to get this bomb defused as well.
You gotta play for these kills. They're killing with MSJ, but he has no idea that freedom's around the corner. So Alabama Crimson with the bounce back there. And a big round 2 off of sheer aggression through that A site. I think it was Nyko found that first kill, or Zach who found it. And getting into A was relatively easy when your bomb carrier could just shell in there and win the fight to couch.
So many good rounds here from Alabama Crimson. It seems like they should be up, like, by maybe not a substantial margin, but like it seems like they should at least have the lead in this S&D right now. At Newberry, though, they're just there's things that are getting put in front of them, and they're taking the good fortune route on it, and they're walking away with good rounds, and that's all you can ask for in the search and destroy. It's just hard to watch, but you have to look for the top of the map. Nyko's making a route out now. Hasn't spotted anybody just yet, but if they try to work this over towards B, he's going to have great information. First blood going to come through in the back.
Yeah, but now kind of stuck in an island. Nyko pops off. Zach's going to get the trade on to KB. That leaves Diff in a 1v3, now 1v2. MSJ was on a hot flake there to at least, try to put things away for Bama Crimson, and it definitely pays off with denying any help to shut down Nyko on that head glitch. And with that bomb down over towards B, you look at the setup for both players from Bama. They're inside.
Dude, is MSJ behind the door right there, or is he just like looking out over towards the side? Like I want to know. Like I think like he's turned around looking the opposite way, so like he's not actually looking out. But yeah, okay, he's outside the door. Beautiful free cam from Ryan Switchy, by the way.
Love that guy.
Grabs the bomb. No checks yet. Do they not know the bomb was down? He's going to get this for free over towards B. I mean, they're going to start this wrap back on over, but I mean, by the time he gets this bomb down, he should be able to get out the back door and escape.
Yeah, communication so far has been the bane of the existence of Bama in the search and destroy. Diff's going to get away, and bomb planted for Hill. Once they see it, they should know. Diff just playing this off angle. If you get one, it's going to be perfect. They run at him. Finds the first. They line up, and oh my! Newberry 1v2s just have been so friendly to them. The good fortune of Bama lining up for Diff here.
And that's so unfortunate too, because Freedom has an easy trade there if he's looking toward the back line. That's a ticky-tacky thing. I can't get mad at that. Like, nobody can. Like, you're looking around the site so you don't get cut from your backside either when you're trying to push out the spawns. But like, regardless of either of the two, like, that's just such a difficult thing to try and pick apart. And again, it comes down to the good timing there at the end of the round, and who's able to walk away with the kills? Well, it's the side of Newberry. They're at match point now. 3 straight rounds for Alabama Crimson to tie this series up, or even the search and destroy up, but doesn't look like it's going to happen here without Newberry's been playing.
Looks like they want to take their sights to A again. MSJ leading the charge. Zach's going to find an angle on a KB. That's going to give way to MSJ for this flank. It's a 2 for Bama.
Have we seen this, though?
3, yeah, but how many times have Newberry pulled this back? And here's the start. Okay. Here's step 2. That's bomb down. Oh, MSJ. Can you scrape together and salvage this round? Well, there's the important one on a freaky.
Oh, not Diff again. Another 1v2. Out of the last round, bomb gonna go down over towards B. It's gonna be from the opposite side, but dude, if he can catch player number 2, if he gets too aggressive on the rotation, he can isolate a 1v1 out here. He's gonna know someone's in the bomb site though. 45 seconds left. Just creeping on up. Oh, does he spot Nyko out? He does.
He did, but he doesn't have an angle. Nyko luckily just over the lip of the hill. With the bomb down, you got one on the roof, one on the hill, and Diff at least knows where one of these players are, but the slow push up to patio gives all the information you need for Bama to close that round out. And you know what they say, Corn? we've let enough 1v2s go the other way so far.
I'm just glad they were able to clutch one up, man. Like, that's all I wanted. Like, that's it. And again, like, who better to be alive in that situation than Nyko, as well as his teammate MSJ. They have been the two most important pieces of this Alabama roster throughout the first two maps. Nyko specifically with the outslaying performance in map number 1, but here in the S&D, just like, those big two pieces around the map. If Zach and Freedom could just like stay alive in some of these situations, or anybody could stay alive after they got like a 4v2 to start things off with, this would look so much better. And again, it's another reason why we have said multiple times already, Alabama should be up in this S&D, but they're not because of themselves.
On the offense for Newberry. Oftentimes, we've been speaking on a few mistakes of Alabama Crimson, but Newberry have been putting themselves in pretty bad situations, 1v2s, and Diff's could get some horrible timing with MSJ. Somehow slips the net. Now in the back line, and Newberry, they have to go hunting. A lot of stuns are going to give information on the players towards billiards, and that's just going to feed this information to MSJ just to sit pretty and wait.
Every round he's taking a different flank route. It's so nice to watch, and they're just not expecting it either. Every single round he has been in a different spot behind the enemy team, and he wins at least one of the gunfights every single time. KB somehow escapes with his life. Cells walks away with the kill. And dude, don't tell me it happens again, right?
I was going to say...
Don't even end out a 2v2 again, please.
Well, Nyko stays alive this time, so 11 seconds to get this bomb down, and I'm sure Nyko gets every information on these players rotating, but Cells brings this one back. Cells is going to be traded out. Nyko makes it another 2v1. It's KB this time, and the hero from game number 1. Can you clutch up here to put this one away? Early fight to Nyko. They know where he is. Through the door. No 1v1 this time. Zach shuts this one down, and in the good words of Visions, we're going to round 11, baby.
Dude, if Zach is able to, if he doesn't connect with one of those bullets that he hit right there, and those hip fires come through, he isolates that 1v1 in the back line. Dude, that opens up the door to something completely different. Regardless, though, Zach will win it. Big kill, big step up here in this situation. I called on 2 players on Alabama Crimson that needed to make big plays. At the end of the game, Zach comes up big. They haven't been playing bad in the S&D either, so I want to make that completely clear. But it has been Nyko and MSJ really opening up these rounds with the SMGs and getting aggressive with themselves inside of either the middle map or just making the flanks back around. Newberry has to realize this, and they have. They've tried to snuff out the flanks beforehand, but again, it's just the fact that they're playing in so many different spots that's opening up these opportunities for them.
Well, so far, round 11s have been friendly to Newberry in recent history, so let's see if that stat stays true. Freaky's going to open the door. Quick nade into the back. Information is going to push this player from the inside towards Freaky. Peeks out towards that couch, and Nyko again. The hero, 4 in a row, 12 and 5, makes it 13. Nyko, a 5 spree to put this one away. You've got to be kidding me. Cells all alone.
Now, this is ice right here. Alabama, the fact that they were able to bring it back 3 straight rounds, or 2 straight rounds, almost a third. Cells has to win the one-on-one gunfight here. Nyko can't find his ace, but that's an isolated one-on-one, and now he's got 38 seconds left to play with. He knows the bomb is down inside of that ace site, but so does Alabama Crimson. How do they play this one together? They don't. Inside the door, right, gets shut down. Alabama, they'll tie the series at 1 apiece.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 1 versus 3. You have attack 56, and the bomb is down in A. I mean, talk about the worst situation you could possibly think of in a search and destroy round 11. Nyko, however, and MSJ, outstanding performance for Alabama Crimson. I do say, though, Corin, when we are talking over this search and destroy, I think that was a little bit too close for comfort if you're Alabama Crimson. That round, that game could have been over 3 or 4 rounds ago.
Yeah, no, again, that was the theme throughout the entirety of the S&D. Map 1, you can say whatever you want. Newberry were the better hardpoint team in that game. That's whatever. But that right there, Alabama, from start to finish, there was 2 players on Alabama that were the better S&D players throughout the entire series. But they can only do so much in a few rounds. And, of course, in the final round, it takes Nyko finding 3 straight kills at the beginning and almost finding the last one onto Cells to be able to take that round. Luckily, his teammates just sit on the bomb and are able to clutch up in the game. But, it goes back to MSJ's plays. it goes back to what Zach and Freedom were able to do to clean up a few rounds here and there. Again, they were not useless on the map, and I don't want to like have it like almost be like a stigma of that regard, but like you can flip to the other side as well, though. Like Newberry also had some really good solid plays that they made. They got good timings a lot of the time too, but Alabama were the better team. You cannot dispute that. There were just rounds that they threw away, and yeah, again, that's just something you can't do if you want to afford yourself a nice position later on in the year, or even right now. Again, like I said earlier, end of the year will sneak up on you quickly.
Yeah, I think the biggest opponent in this map for Alabama Crimson was communication in a lot of those rounds when it came down to it. As Newberry did expose them there, but we gave a lot of criticism to Bama throughout that search and destroy. But again, I mean, how many times through this replay do you even look at it and you see Newberry in a 2 versus 4 situation to begin with? So, like, Newberry, yeah, there's some things in search and destroy that, you know, yeah, you're an IC team and, you know, you can clutch up in 1v2s, but when it boils down to the openings and a lot of these search and destroys for LSELO, they're going to have to go to the books. They're going to have to do a little bit of homework, watch over that, and see if they can, you know, fix a few things going into the future weeks. We look at the scoreboard, and right away, I mean, Nyko 13-6, MSJ 13-9. You know, I was looking for MSJ to turn up in the search and destroy after seeing what he did with the Vaznev back on hardpoint.
26 between 2 players is crazy. The fact that 2 different people separated from each kills respectively doubled up both of their teammates combined in an S&D is ridiculous. Like, we talk about big performances like top to bottom, like, oh my god, you drop above like 10 kills in an S&D, you're having a damn good game. That's 2 people who are on the same page throughout the entirety of an S&D that consistently played well through the entirety of an S&D. Because usually it's like, okay, well, somebody started on like an 8 streak or like a 7 streak or something like that for like the first 2-3 rounds, and then they fall off a cliff until the end where like they're needed. Maybe they find like 1 or 2 kills here and there and like in every other round, and like it's cool, but it's not that impressive. Those were kills that came throughout the entirety of the S&D. It wasn't one big streak that put them so much further above one another or anything like that. They were big influential moments in every single round that either swung the pendulum in their favor or were just close enough to make it seem like it was an Alabama close round, maybe a good win for them, or a complete win in the entirety of the round itself.
Now we go back and forth between maps 1 and 2. Hardpoint goes to Newberry. Search goes to Bama. Map number 3, swing map mode on LSELO. Again, we're going to have to wait to see it. A quick little break when we come back. Control on the menu. You don't want to miss it. After a nail-biter search and destroy, we return for more College COD. We're going into map number 3. It's the swing mode now that we find both Alabama Crimson and Newberry tied 1 apiece. We're going to Control, LSELO. Corn, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, really, my only thoughts on this whole thing are like, Hardpoint, not close. Newberry, very good in respawn. Alabama, close. Shouldn't have been close. Pretty good at search and destroy. Need to clean some things up, but that can be done relatively easy. However, when you go into a search and destroy, you can't expect 2 players to drop, you know, 13 kills respectively between the 2 of them to be able to walk away with just a round 11 escapee. So yeah, that is a little unfortunate. However, that is what we need to see kind of change going forward in the series. As we said, after map number 1, it was like, okay, how are Alabama going to be able to kind of relocate their resources and say, how do we play a little bit better around of each other? How do we not lose those big crucial moments in team fights at the hills, even though we're getting a majority of our gunfights to go our way? That's what they kind of figured out in the S&D. They still had a lot of kills that went their way in rounds that didn't go their way, which very indicative of what we saw on the hardpoint, but I think that bleeds back over into the Control as well, and if they're not careful, they can fall into those same traps that they had on the Embassy, and that could very easily upset them here in map number 3.
Amazing analysis and breakdown there from the cornmeal.
Thanks, man.
Oh, we're going to get into map number 3, but we're guaranteed a map 4 corn. This isn't going to be an easy 3-0 sweep like we saw in that first series of the day for Akron Zips. You know, right now, you know, for Alabama Crimson, if you're looking at it proving this is a good moment to do so, is it a team that's not even on the power rankings for week number 2 of College COD. But if you take down Newberry, a team that is, you know, top 21 in those power rankings, you know, then, you know, that's a big upset for Alabama Crimson. You know, that's a chance for you to really, you know, solidify yourself as a top competitor inside of your region. As we, you know, we talked about the Southeast Division is, you know, it's not going to be easy to reach to the top with how we broke it down early. But, you know, if you're Bama looking to make some upsets right now versus Newberry, this is a good chance. You take the search and destroy,
Yeah.
And with how they were looking, if you can prolong this, get to that map 5, we could see that upset.
Oh, we definitely could. And again, like, both of these teams have had their fair share of series so far. But for Newberry, like, the reason that they have, you know, the experience to shut out close series is because they have been there before. There's experience on that team now. For Alabama, the one win that they have this season came at the expense of a forfeiture of another team. So it's like, yay, we got to win. But, like, what does that do for us? It does nothing. All it does is gives you a false sense of, like, artificial satisfaction, and, like, now you go forward and it's like, okay, well, we still haven't won a map or a series yet. We're taking a couple maps off of a couple people. How about we start with winning our respawns and improving upon our search and destroy, which is what you've done. You've improved upon your search and destroy. You beat a formidable Newberry team in the mode. Now go into this control, go into a respawn, smack them in the jaw, knock them down a peg, and force them to beat you on a hard point where you need the most work. That's fun. That is what you want to do as a new team. That is what you want to do to get yourself some experience, but really a momentum that you can start and light a fire under yourself for the rest of the year, because that is what makes a competitor a competitor.
Very violent way to put it, but you know what? I'm right alongside you with that for Alabama Crimson. Let's see how you start off on defense. Can you slow the roll right now of Newberry's? KB on screen was a big difference maker back in the hard point. Going to start off strong with a kill there on a Freedom. Nyko, big player in the search and destroy. Continuing with that here in the control.
4 in a row. Trying to make it 5. Freaky, look out.
Ooh.
Over on the B point, we'll back off. Get himself a nice little head glitch set up. Freaky pre-fire around the corner. We'll finally cut that player down, so no opportunity for streaks here. But guess who's behind everybody again? It's MSJ. 4 lives separate the two teams early on here, but it's, again, just the majority of aggression on the defensive side that has allowed them to have a nice little advantage early on.
I can't believe Freaky wins that fight, too. And, you know, to talk about, you know, MSJ and Nyko and how deadly of a duo this is. If, you know, Nyko can open those lanes for MSJ, yeah, you're ultimately going to find MSJ into the back line all the time as they clear that B site or that B zone very swiftly, only giving up 3/4 that first segment. They're going to wipe that. And Newberry off the respawn, looking at this A zone. Diff finds their way into the back line. Nice shots there onto Freedom, all the way top the hill, though on the inside. MSJ only going to make the play, and it's not enough. Time to stack the zone.
I know KB wanted to get on, like, into the corner there, but he started licking the wall and just let somebody run directly through the doorway behind him. So that's not a good recipe for success. Either way, Freaky will be back on this A zone. Last stick of progress starting to make its way through. Alabama Crimson, I mean, you have the resources over here. You have the bodies here. You need to invest if you're going to set this play up, and you do. All the way in from behind. 2 players go their way. A 3rd kill comes through. All they need to find is 1 more, and it's KB who's pushing through. Knife not going to be able to find the kill just yet, but he stays alive. Great hold there from Alabama Crimson.
Yeah, it's important to shut down that segment towards A. 22 seconds left. Now Newberry, they got a ping pong from B. You know, stop that clock for a moment. See if you can get these respawns here, and they do. Though MSJ still winning the fight, still on the backside. KP is going to hop in, stack the zone. It looks like they're going to allow the second. No, they don't allow the tick. Last chance effort here from Alabama to hold on to A, and they get it done. Freedom. What a win.
I guess throw the nade, man. Another one onto the zone, but I mean, time is continuing to dwindle down, and Alabama's back on the zone as well. I mean, you have somebody over on the B point, and this is going to force the, you know, the defense's resources to be limited across the map. Fan out and spread out a little bit. Try to force some good situations for yourself, but you're still down by almost 7 lives, 8 lives. So it's like, what do you do now? You don't do anything because you're getting cut off the points.
I mean, I've seen crazier things than LSC low control. A quick little 4 spree, and this map is completely opened up. A is going to get finished. Another minute to work with, but like you said, 13-3. I mean, it's kind of like an if. Or no, when, not an if. You know, this is going to happen for the round. So players on Bama going to start hunting the rest of them. Cells, big win to continue to prolong this round. 48 seconds to move over towards B. All players for Newberry stacked inside of the building. And Freaky catches some good timing. Hold on. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm ready to see if they can make this happen.
They need to not push any more bodies in towards the middle building, and they haven't right now. So, yeah, this is what they need to do. They need to send all their ARs out on the back head glitches and force Newberry down towards the end to be able to push their way forward, because they only have 2 respawns now and only 2 people left to push out. Zach on top of the AC unit. Yeah, it was cool. You got a couple of kills. Maybe for like a Cinderella story, that would have been awesome. But that's not going to come true this time around. So, Newberry not going to be able to walk away with their first offensive push. Alabama Crimson, they do what they needed to do. Start off hot in the control. They're up 1-0.
And to, keep the stats for that round, 4 ticks progression, if I'm not mistaken. The only 1 was collected towards B. So Newberry, not a horrible offensive round there, and you take some lives at the end, but yeah, is the Bama firing squad over towards B. Just wait for them to leave the building and then shut down the round so that it can go up 1-0 in the defense, and that's what they get. So back onto the offense for Alabama Crimson here for LSCLO, and it looks like they're going to take a shot to B right away. I am a big fan of this one. The thing is, though, Diff catches freedom with the stun.
Like he stated off, and Freaky falls as well, so everybody that was trying to make that flank route through and the people that could have shut down that play immediately get off the board. Cells tries to retaliate for the kill, but he's traded out in the back line, and now if you're Alabama, you're stacking this point, and all you have to do is just win a couple of gunfights to the front. Zach's the first one there, 5 in a row, looking for number 6, gets cut down by Cells, but you're still looking for that second tick. You'll probably end up getting it unless everybody comes and flies through. That's exactly what they'll do.
Yeah, not a big fan of the call for Nyko to fly there. Love to just stack the site, provide a little bit of overwatch for the rest of your team, especially your teammate sitting on dice. But they give it up. Only 1 tick collected towards B. They head over to A. Frankie just barely looking through the pixel of that ladder, forced off of the doorway. 2 players stacked on the inside of this A zone. Freaky's going to hop in for the contention. Peeks on out, doesn't finish the food, and that might come back to bite you. Yes, it does. Zach's going to clear this one off. Diff, big win up top, finds 2. They know where Zach is. They know there's one last player. All they need to do is wait for the respawns to clear him out. Diff's just not going to wait at all. He wants that kill, and he's going to get it.
They're going back to B, and this is exactly what the side of Newberry wanted, because Cells was still in the back line in the spawns, waiting for them to come off, and now they can start picking off these forces as they go themselves on defense, come off respawn, and this pinch back over towards the hill is perfect.
It's just back and forth for Newberry. They're okay with allowing Bama to, rotate to A and B simultaneously. They have full control over the inside of LSCLO, so, you can rotate easily from site to site. Freaky's going to get stun checked in the back. They should have information on this player. They're going to give him space, though, to work with, and this might be horrible for as they're set up towards the A zone. Freaky's going to peek out towards top radio. Nice shots there from Nyko. Getting pushed from the hill. He doesn't know it's Diff to strike. On the inside of this A zone, there's only 1 player. Diff looking for the 1v1. He's going to hop over the top of this wall. No idea where Diff is, and he's going to get the kill into freedom. So nice clear there from Diff. They don't allow the A zone to go just yet. 10 seconds left. You got to go to B, and it's Nyko. Nyko, can you make the play, Freaky? No way. Nyko almost makes it happen. Only 5 seconds, and here it is. Here we go. Nyko alone on the inside of this one. But Newberry won't allow it just yet. Nice kills there to clear it out. We go 1-1.
See, I am personally the biggest fan of Newberry hitting back over towards A there, because not only did that dwindle the timeout, but what that did is, since this game has been so close between both of these teams so far, whether it be an offense or a defense, if this goes to the round 5, right now, the tick advantage that Newberry has over the Alabama Crimson is so large that I think it's like a 4 or almost 5 at this point. Them being able to hold on to the A zone and only let that first tick of progress go on at B was the single biggest thing they could have done in that round, while also slaying out at the same time. That was perfect.
Let's see if Bama can, replicate that round 1 success from them and continue with this back and forth affair that has been LSCLO control. Cruise missile for Cells. Drops the trophy onto A. Even hops into the zone, but what they don't know is Zach just hiding and waiting for a chance to peek out and get the kill. Nice trade there from Freaky. He's going to continue the pressure here onto A and taking a little bit of progression until MSJ is in the back line. Where else is he going to be? Honestly.
It's ridiculous how he's been behind them like every single round. Like, LSCLO, like, yes, it allows you to like play a little like creddy angles and like get through rat holes and whatnot, like get to the back line, but like MSJ has done that like better than like anybody else throughout these last 2 maps in the S&D and here in the control. But Crimson got themselves a 3-life advantage. I mean, relatively, you're just kind of splitting the defenses right now if you are Alabama. But as long as you can win, one or two gunfights, make it 3, you're gonna be golden. So that's exactly what they do. I guess, man.
What a rat there too. I mean, he sits in that stairwell for about 15 seconds until 2 players pass him, and they have full control of this map. You got Freedom towards B. You have MSJ inside. Sun check there on a Freedom. No kills to back this one up. Freedom's going to check this one out. Doesn't win the fight to Diff. That maybe opens up the lane here.
No
MSJ's
way.
going to win out over towards A. Freaky. Shut down. 10 seconds to make this play. If you are Newberry, but you got time to work with here. You got a little bit of space, and you have the kills to back it up. 3 down. It's a 3-for-1, and Freaky gets cleared as well. 6 seconds. Nobody in a place to touch. Maybe you can hop onto this A zone if you're Diff.
Yeah. Bro, what did I say at like the end of that last round? It was, all right, Newberry are happy because Alabama didn't get a lot of the zone progression, and they walk away with a tick difference. Newberry didn't get a single tick of progress at A or B. At some point, you just got to realize, hey, we need to commit 4 people to a site and not try to dwindle out the defense's numbers by playing an opposite site and then just all hit towards it. They didn't do that once, and the one time that they tried to do it, they let Nyko just run free over on the top radio side, and they couldn't get it into the A site because he got the first pick, and then they tried to like funnel out to B. Something has to change.
Something does need to change, for sure, for Newberry. But fortunately for themselves is they're going to be on defense now. I'm not sure how many ticks of progression Alabama Crimson have got from that first round of offense that they had. I'm pretty sure it was only 1 towards B, if I'm not mistaken. And Newberry, if that's so, if they don't allow us any ticks of progression in this round, they're going to be guaranteed defense for round 5. So they're right now in actually a good spot if they can send this to a map 5 without giving up any ticks.
We shall see. Big task just to not let anything go through, but right now you have a nice spread around the map. 3 kills go your way. All you have left alive is Zach just trying to play himself in a hole and towards the middle of the map. Realistically, this is all just trying to set up a spawn trap, but you've done a nice job of getting yourself into, and you have a 7 life advantage at this point in the round. Now you're going to force everybody out towards the back lines. Freaky's here. He finds 3, make it number 4, and all of a sudden this round opens completely. 30 seconds left, and you have almost a 10 life advantage.
And Newberry have played this almost perfect, only giving up 3 lives so far. Here's KB on the flank. Nyko, nice read. Opens up this B zone. They're going to stop the clock at 20 seconds. Diff up top. Nice shots on the dice, but they know exactly where to look at this point. Going to give it up, and Diff gets in for a kill, though. 2 players to stack this out. Once they collected at B, working on the second segment. All 3 players from Newberry pushing from towards Garage. Cells is going to find an angle onto it as well, so that B zone gets cleared off, and you're back to the clock.
I mean, you have to go
seconds.
B. You have to go B. There's no other option. If you go A, you're just asking for trouble. You need to get an extra minute added onto the clock, and the easiest route to do that is by going over towards the B zone. 5 seconds left. Nobody's here.
And nobody at all. That time is going to dwindle. The time's going to drain. And Corn, we're going to that round 5 here in LSELO control, where I was saying if Newberry, if they keep it relatively clean in that last round, might be looking at defense here. If that's so, you are 100% scared as a Bama fan.
Oh, absolutely. And like the thing is like typically on LSELO, this is the one map where like you can easily jump out, get an offense here, get an offense there. I've seen it go offense all the way through the 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Neither team has looked good enough to be able to take both full sites on either side of the coin. Yes, we've seen full takes on A. Yeah, exactly. Like we see a full take on A, almost a full take on B. But neither team were able to fully come away with it. It all comes down to making sure your backline is clear, but the teams are so, they're so scared. They waste so much time trying to clear out everything in their spawn side. It doesn't matter.
Oh, well, fortunately for Bama, I did my quick maths wrong, and they did get enough in that first round. So, that 1 tick's going to send them into a defensive round here. Freedom checks out to Gags. Easy kill into Freaky. 3 players committing to this B zone right away is going to be Newberry, and if they can start this B zone, if they can even capture it at the start, that is worst case scenario.
Need to clear out Zach, though, in the middle of the building. I said you have to clear out your back lines without wasting time. That's exactly what they do. B zone, first tick of progress going to be in 27-27. Zach gets cut down on the back lines, and you invest a streak early on. Will it be a difference maker here? Right now, there's still players from Newberry on the point.
Yeah, Diff's just going to wait, watch over his teammate, and he gets cut down. Freaky on dice, has nowhere to look. What is that? Snaps onto MSJ. contention over towards A, but it's okay because they're collecting time at B, and you still have KB winning the fights at A, so now progress at both A and B. Where do you go if you're Bama? You're going to dedicate some lives over to B because you do not want to let go of this outside zone, but it's gone. It's done. A zone's getting worked on. Last tick getting worked on over here, and Newberry looking to steal this from right under the fingertips of Bama Crimson. Zach shuts it down, and now you get a chance to breathe.
I mean, this is such a difficult zone to hold on to, though. There's a reason everybody takes A first and then tries to go for B at the end. You want to give yourself as much time as possible to get over towards B, but all it takes is a couple gunfights going your way and jumping on down into the zone, and you win this. Freaky with one, snaps to the radio tower. That's the opening they need, and now here comes the pinch as the reinforcements come off the respawn block for Newberry.
You still have some, pressure inside of this building if you are Bama. You have both MSJ and Freedom, both submachine guns exactly where you need them. Freedom's going to find the kill on 4 in a row, but that time stopped towards A. Team shots to the Zach. Oh no, Zach can't chow this. You got to hop into the contention, but there's just no time to waste, and he doesn't have the health to work it out. Still somehow Zach and Nyko make the heroic play to shut down those players. Freaky's going to be the last one close to make this happen. He's on 6 in a row. He gets the cruise missile, but again, cleared out. And it's so back and forth. This is so close. Again, 3 for 1 inside, and Bama stay alive.
Here comes the cruise missile over the top, though. Won't connect with anybody. The trophy system takes it out, and nobody dies. 14-13. Lives to Newberry on offense, but it's Nyko who finds the kill and evens things out at 13 apiece. What looks so good early on in the round. After that B hit, they stick it. They get 2 ticks on A. Somehow, Alabama are holding on over Eddie.
You got 1 minute left. Lives are going to be even, though. These kills are swinging in favor of Bama, and that is worrisome for Newberry. You don't have the time anymore to really work these long flanks like you've been working on. This is the last chance for Freaky that you're going to have to make this play. Another player's going to get cut down. It's going to be Cells inside, but Freaky finally striking. Draws a little bit of this awareness from the backside for Bama. These fights inside are going to be everything. Freaky shut down. KP's up next. Diff gets shut down on the other side of the map too, so MSJ's going to be in your spawn. It's a 2-for-2 trade. They hop in for the 24 seconds, and this might be it, Korn.
Here comes a streak over the top. Cruise missile from above. MSJ, Zach on the point. Will you be able to connect? The answer is yes, but nobody is here just yet. 15 seconds to get back over towards the zone. The middle of the building is swarmed, but you do have the radio site clear. You can get out towards the south side of the map.
It's all up to the flank right now. You have to get into the zone. 9 seconds left. It's just, there's no room to work this. If you're Newberry, you have no remaining lives. 3 versus 5. 5 seconds to make it happen to Freaky. Freaky opens it up. Cells traded. Nyko contending inside of this one. 1 versus 4. Freaky all alone. Has to take the fights, but it's not happening. Alabama Crimson steal it away. The control goes to Tide.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, we're going to have a lot to talk about here. All right, well, let's just get the obvious one out of the way. Where were the team hits on the offensive side from Newberry? Huh? Where were they? I'll wait. The answer is they were nowhere. They let Nyko out towards the radio side sit there the entire time instead of sending multiple resources to the south side of the mini-map and get up to the radio tower. What do? They wash themselves out, hit middle, try to keep going around over towards the B site, cutting back down on the map, and it screwed them all the way down to the end. But I'll give credit where credit is due. Alabama Crimson.
Yeah.
What a sexy hold.
You're right to say that, for sure. I mean, it was looking good for a moment for Newberry. I thought that B zone's gone. They have players working on A at the same time. For Crimson, you're a little bit split in that. Where do you go? You go to A, you go to B. They choose B. It doesn't work, and that, needs to come down to some very late heroics from Bama. Look how close that is in the first round, too. I mean, Alabama Crimson, it was not clean at all. I mean, they were playing neck and neck against this control. But to win it out, one of our highlights today was Newberry. They need to improve in their controls. It still shows that there is some issues going on in their maps 2s and maps, and this is Alabama Crimson's chance to take the series and take a win off of one of our power ranking teams.
and I hate to say it too, because like, you know, at the top of the broadcast, we were talking about a Neslo series, saying like, okay, 2-3-5, Alabama, we're gonna have to come out on top of, and well, here we are. they win 2-3. They're going back to hardpoint, which has been historically this season a horrid map for them, or horrid mode for them, I should say. But I mean, it comes down to Nyko here at the end. Being able to pick off the cells as he's trying to fly back across the point, it just buys time, forces Freaky not to be able to isolate that 1v1 and reset in a good position. But again, credit where credit is due. Alabama, that hole that they had, Nyko playing out towards the like top satellite and that radio tower, like, you hold down that lane, you hold down that site. I thought that they were going to be able to take it pretty swiftly. It's just some team hits that didn't come through, in Alabama, they traded out well for the first time in pretty much the series, which was nice.
Yeah. And you know what went right here for Bama where it didn't in the hard point? You know, it's the MSJ versus KB battle that has kind of been shaping up throughout these respawns. Is like, who is going to live rent-free in the backline more? Is it going to be KB or is it going to be MSJ? And in the control, I mean, we saw MSJ constantly finding three pieces, only 21 and 23, you know, not the, you know, the brightest stat line, but those 17 non-traded kills, you know, the damage that he's doing, and every single one of those 21 kills was important for the win. Whereas, you know, KB getting shut down, it was something that you didn't see back in that Embassy hard points, and now that they're starting to, you know, catch on to that and clear out KB, I'm expecting when we go to this map number 4, we're going to Fortress. If KB continues to get shut down, that is maybe where Bama can start to look to sneak a hard point away.
I will say this though, I looked at the side of Crimson, and that Fortress control, like a respawn mode on Fortress, the fact that they banned that out early on within this map set does get me a bit concerned. Usually if you're able to play a map on a hard point or a map in a control, you're fine with playing that map in a different way, whether it be on the flip side of the coin, vice versa. So the fact that they banned it for the control, maybe not comfortable of being able to break out of some situations, specifically probably that spawn on the offensive side, it gets me a bit concerned, because if they have a wavering confidence about this map already in one specific respawn mode, that can easily translate to them not being able to break out from a specific spawn side or be able to rotate in an effective manner, which is exactly what the problem was on that Embassy hardpoint for map 1. So maybe I'm reading a bit too deep into things here, but at the same time, I really don't think I am. I think that makes sense.
Fortress Hardpoint and Fortress Control are
they're different beasts. No, 100%.
100%. Very different games. But, you know, I like where you're going. I like where your head's at with this one. No, Bama, they choose to, you know, ban the Hydro Hardpoint instead. And, you know, maybe Bama just doesn't have any swimmers on their team for that one. They don't want to go to the Hardpoint.
I mean, it is a football school.
You're right for that. I wouldn't know. Not a football guy, but hey, you know what? That's why I hang around with you, Corn. You let me know for those stats. For Newberry, I think it needs to go back to what we get for the head-to-head here. Is they're now, after that map 1 win, they're 3-2 in hard points. Bama 0-3 in hard points. You know, you're right to call this, you know, the quote-unquote, we're looking at an Eslo here for Alabama. But, you know, that hard point, you know, the search and destroy, and even the control, I think there's one thing that's been consistent in all that is that the slaying has been neck and neck for either team. And if Bama are starting to heat up, you know, if MSJ especially heats up on this Fortress, that's where, you know, the difference maker is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, crucially in that final round, that last defense that Crimson had, that good slaying, those good numbers, again, like it's the same thing with like S&D. Like the kills you're getting around the map most of the time are going to be important because you're giving yourselves an advantage, whether it be in the life count or in a specific portion of the map. In hardpoint, like with how quickly spawns come back in, there's not a limited amount of lives that you have to really start thinking about or really take care of. That just allows your team to put yourselves in good positions at all times. And for Newberry, again, I'll keep putting us back to this Embassy hardpoint. That's what they continuously did on the map. They did not outslay Alabama in that first map. It was relatively close, but Alabama still was winning the bulk majority of the gunfights throughout the whole map. It wasn't until that S&D where we saw that start to turn around, and even when they were, you know, dropping 26 between two different players on the team, you still went to around 11 and almost lost that search and destroy. So, like, I don't want this to be like it's a walk in the park. We're running, we're frolicking around. Like, it's not going to be that kind of a hard point here. It's going to be like, if you don't show up, you don't step up, and you don't figure it the hell out from 1 to 4, you're going to be forced to a map 5 where Newberry has already been twice this year.
I'd frolic in the park with you any day, Alex.
I mean, we could skip around, maybe sit on the swings and go up and down and share a kiss on top of the jungle gym. I don't know.
Ooh. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. I think there's a lot that's changed from the hard point into the control, and the fact that, I think Bama in that last round definitely proved that as a team, the supporting cast has definitely stepped up to the plate where they're winning a lot of their 1v1s. I think importantly, we talked about Nyko in the Search and Destroy, but I want to talk about Zach, because Zach at the end of that control was pivotal to the win. I mean, he was constantly finding 2 kills, multi-kills left, right, and center to continue to box out Newberry from getting into that A zone. So that's it's one thing to really compare, is that the slaying is definitely a lot more impactful now for Bama. So going into this hard point in this fortress, we're looking at Alabama Crimson. The big storyline here, can they take a series off of one of our top 25 power ranking schools? Newberry, they're new on the block. I mean, they just showed up in 2023 to the CCA, to the College COD League, and now we're looking at them as maybe one of the dark horses to shut down some of these top teams in their division. Well, Alabama Crimson, they are making a run for their money.
Yeah, it's early in the season, but it's never too early for an upset alert. Newberry, they are on that watch right now. Fraudulent alert, perhaps. We'll have to see as the map goes on. Zach opens things up there on to Diff. Trades back and forth, but it's Crimson, who are on top for the moment being. P1 going to be held down by KB. Trying to flip the spawns around is Alabama.
Yeah, early time from Newberry, but I think he's going to be looking at the big win that Freaky found towards open. It shuts down the rotation of P2. It really makes sure that Newberry has a stake in the better spawns off of this break. Because relatively enough, spawning over towards P3, not always, strong in other modes. In hardpoint, you can beat them out to the hardpoint, in fact, for P1, but it's getting over to P2 that's the hard part. And this is where we see KB on the flank again. Incredible timing for himself, just can't find 2.
It's the call out on the Nyko, though. That should give Freaky the information that this building is going to be infested here in just a short notice. But it is going to be the White Arrows of Newberry, who are already ready, set up in towards this north-left portion of our mini-map. Selton Freaky, a nice little double there. MSJ running rampant for himself, but already, these first 2 hills, very easily the way of Newberry.
50 unanswered points. This is what we've been seeing for Bama. We know they're a weak hardpoint team, but a start like this on Fortress is just not what you like to see. Another 3 unanswered kills for Newberry, and look how far Bama are spawning.
That time they hit that hill together, too. That's the scary part. They all hit it together on Alabama. The problem is nobody knew where they were going to look, or where they wanted to try and find a couple of trades at. So they all ended up just getting discombobulated, looking around, and got nothing for it.
Oh, Sal's finds 2 on the rotation. Shrugging off that map loss on LSC look control. Yeah, it was around 5, 50-50. We go back to the hard point, and we're just doing our business right now. If you are Newberry, they give up 15 on the scrap time, but they are running through Bama on Fortress. Look at Tiff.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Going behind the horsey. Picks him off. Tries to snap over to Nyko. Nyko will walk away with a kill, but again, the hard part isn't getting those initial kills. It's getting close enough to the hard point to really make a difference and find kills in and around the hill itself, which again has been a pain point and a struggle for Alabama, which once again has proven to be a problem here. The numbers aren't that crazy across the board in terms of the comparison between outslaying, but again, it's Newberry who are just so far ahead that it's unreal.
This is a masterclass of Fortress right now from Newberry. It was a little windy, a couple shots there from Freaky, but he's 8-5. I'll forgive it for now. Finally, the shutdown from MSJ. He's got control of top maps, and this is it right now. This is what you're talking about at the start of this map. If you can spawn trap this P3, then maybe you can make a difference into the second half. Although MSJ being as far pushed up as he can, he forces the spawns towards stables, and now you have 2 players from Newberry working the back spawn of Bama Crimson. They have no idea KB is here.
Is it bad that we're on P4 and this is the first time that we've seen Newberry have to break a hill? I'll answer that one for you. That was a rhetorical question. The absolute answer is yes. KB's found 1, Freaky found another. You have 2 players left in and around the hill. Cells is going to start to make his way forward, but again, first 20 seconds already, Newberry have found their way in, and it's up to Alabama Crimson just to keep fluttering over towards the point.
Yeah, Nyko just watching every angle as best as he can with this TAC 45 while Freedom soaking up as much time as humanly possible for Bama Crimson right now in this fortress. You got Diff around the back. You got Cells working for bottom. Art, nice snap there from Nyko. Clears off the top pressure, but Cells inside of this hill, surrounded, still finds the kill. So that scrap time not going to Bama is big. Work on the rotations already. Newberry looking ahead here in Fortress.
Big kill. If KB can find this in the back line, we'll be able to walk away with it. So the spawns are going to be close up towards that northeast section of the map. And as Diff looks for the shots over the top, Cells is going to be there to help out as well. And as he spots one over towards that nice little horsey statue, he can hop out with the rest of his teammates. They're going to start breaking across the map. Spawns are still going to be deep for the side of Alabama Crimson, but they're not winning the gunfights that they need.
You know, it's not good to have these back spawns towards P3 for Bama right now, because getting into this hill and collecting time, well, Newberry has control of open, closed, and inside of the fortress. It's impossible. Cruise missile's going to get called in from MSJ from an earlier spree. Looking for somebody around the outside. There's two players there, but only... Actually, doesn't even find any. The trophy system's going to back up Cells in that situation. Now crossing through maps, and Nyko there with the overwatch. Cuts off those players. 12 seconds of scrap time, but Bama Crimson, they cannot afford to give that. They need the rotation to P1.
You know, at first I was thinking, I'm like, okay, like, is this streak really, really worth it here? You know, for the back end of 25 seconds, and I realized, all right, that streak was more for them to be able to break out of those right side spawns and find themselves over by P2, which I genuinely love from Alabama Crimson, and that's great utility usage. That's going to allow them to start setting up a spawn trap, and this is where they can afford themselves maybe the same opportunity that the Newberry had the last time through, where they were able to string P1 and P2 together. They do this, they are right back in the game, and these are the type of adjustments in hardpoint we needed to see out of Alabama if they wanted to be taken seriously as a true contender threat.
Corn, I mean, I'm looking at the minimap right now. I'm looking at the situation that Newberry's in, and this could easily be a 100 swing the way of Bama Crimson. This could be their way back. They just gotta win the gunfights, and when it comes down to that, they just haven't been doing that this game. Freaky 17 and 15, continuing to break hills with Cells 14 and 8. And Newberry are just putting on a show inside of this map. They break over to B1, working on the spawns in the back. Yes, Bama going to win a couple, but a team kill is going to make this a little bit harder. Freedom finally finds Diff there, and that's going to lock it down.
I'm so glad he stayed down and waited for his teammate over towards the hill to be able to take the 2v1 gunfight off the player from Newberry that was pushing through the backline spawns, and now they can start setting up inside of this. If Freedom can stay alive here and towards the middle building and let his teammates start running rampant around him, this turns the entirety of this game around. Diff, though, with the opening nade, is going to be able to find Zach. Nyko falls as well. Good trade there from MSJ, but will it be enough to hold this hill down?
Freedom's going to cut through. Saitor finds one, snaps to Diff. Can't win it out with the fast nav. It's going to be a little help from Zach to leave Cells all alone on the inside of this. The respawn's going to be in his favor, but a couple players from Newberry already looking towards the next hill, just playing for the scrap time for Bama. It's important, but KB, a gun on the flank, 3 in a row, cuts them down. And already Freaky, look at this. He's working on next. He's somehow found his way to P3. Oh, and that's a big win there for Freedom.
To say he's by himself for that situation as well. If he's not able, or if he's able to find at least one there, and that's going to force Alabama to start turning their heads back over towards the hill, and that prohibits them from being able to watch where Newberry is coming off the spawn side from. However, that doesn't happen. Now they can start looking for the spawn trap, but it's Newberry walking away with the gunfight engagements, but MSJ, the two-piece king from the S&D, walks away once again and might have just allowed Crimson to get themselves at a full 60 seconds.
I mean, this is crazy from Bama. Not to mention, it was 104 to 15 at one point in this game. So the fact that they've clawed this one back, they're still a contender here. In Fortress, they got to worry about Cells up top. Diff through maps. Clears the hill for now. Nice shots there from Cells. Connects. That's 4 in a row. Shut down, but that's everything that you need for Newberry. They clear the hill, and this is some good time to put them in a shot to send this to a map 5.
Yeah, this is where your mental starts to get chalked a little bit, too. You see that 200-point mark, you're starting to say, okay, well, we're down by, 70, almost 80 points. We can't do what we did in map number 1, but it's the only thing that we're going to be able to allow ourselves to do because we are down by such a margin. They're going to have to start playing for the back 20. They're going to have to play for the rotations. They're going to spread themselves thin again like they did on Embassy. It's either going to pay out in spades or they're going to crumble very, very quickly. Newberry, it's all down to you. Can you stand the test of time and not let yourselves fall to a comeback from Alabama?
43 seconds of this hill. I mean, you look at the spawns for Newberry. They have to work through P1. Nice read from MSJ. Snaps back into Art. Right now, Newberry have them surrounded. KP all the way up top is going to make sure no time goes the way of Bama for now. They're going to play for the kills on the outside and see if they can work their way in slowly but surely. They don't win the gunfights. It goes the way of Bama. Diff's the only one here to really make a difference, but even still, he's not finding the kills. And this is where Bama can just hop back into this hill, start edging their way closer to that 200-point mark, and see if they can work their way out of this one to P5.
But here it is again. Like these last 15 seconds almost, that Newberry is going to get here. Alabama needs to be wary of this, and you still have player number 5 in MSJ pushing back towards Old. I mean, he wants to push with the rest of his team, but you don't realize that KB is still in this building, and you are completely trapped around the hill while also allowing Newberry to get time in towards the hard point. I just don't know if I love the play call from MSJ to hop across the field.
20 seconds left. Zach's just going to jump right into the deep end. Freaky. Free kill as ever. Just sitting, waiting inside of bottom maps. Going to hear MSJ coming on the flank, and Freaky's going to shut that down. 11 seconds left. 4 kills in a row. A collective spree for Newberry, looking for map 5. Wanting to go the distance yet again in the CCL. And they're going to make it happen. Newberry shuts down Alabama Crimson here in College COD. And we're going map 5.
How do you like that? That is crazy. 3 series, 3 game 5s, and you're 1-1 in both of the series that you've played so far. Will you get to that above 500 mark? Will you fall below 500 one more time? Oh boy, I don't know, but let's break that down real quick, shall we? First and foremost, let's take a look at that ending play there and just kind of recollect it from our mental state real quick. Personally, again, not a fan of MSJ hopping across the map right there. Would have loved him to just maybe sit back for a second, wait for his teammates to start pushing away, and then make a flank onto Newberry with a calculated team push. You didn't need to fight for 5 seconds of time over on the last hill. Maybe a mental lapse of judgment and just trying to be, playing along with the pace of the game. But it goes a lot further than that. Yeah, one play at the end of the game, might have ruined a potential comeback. But it's that first rotation to P1, 2, and 3 where Newberry get out to like 140 to 20, and this game is blown wide open from the very start.
Just look at even the position that they have too. I mean, this is the ideal position for Fortress Hardpoint. You have control of Anvil, you have a player in Stables, but you have that player top single KB. And ultimately, that means that you have both eyes on the cross through Anvil, and he can hop out and watch the cut through mid. So, I mean, right now, Newberry at the end, I mean, that is literally perfect setup for P5 inside Fortress. And it's almost, I'd say, that was a perfect map on Fortress too. Yeah, Bama was making a comeback through the middle portion of that map, but I mean, to start off 104 to 15 is unbelievable from Newberry. I mean, Bama, they had to scrape the bottom of the barrel for anything in that map, and it just goes to show the woes of their hardpoint so far, and where it's been probably the biggest trouble of their college COD season so far.
Well, they haven't won a single hardpoint map. Let's just start there for Alabama. Like, yeah, you can win a series 2, 3, 5, and if you're okay with doing that, I guess, man. But if you're not able to figure out your hardpoint, you're not scrimming that consistently across day after day, and just making sure every little thing that you possibly can be doing to get better is going to be there the next time you play a hardpoint map. You've already lost half the battle, and again, I guess if you're complacent with the 2, 3, 5 series, then go ahead. I can't say anything. I'm not a player, but that's not the kind of aspirations that I want to be striving for.
At the end of the day, you're looking at this. You win a game 5, I mean, a dub's a dub for Alabama Crimson. And, maybe you can start off, the week number 2 with a new leaf turned. 0-2, not the best start to your season. So right into a map number 5 up next, folks. So a quick little break, and then we'll be back to finish the remainder of this match 2. We'll see you in a bit with more College COD, folks. Welcome back to the party, everybody. We got College COD action for week number 2. Match number 2 is going the distance score, and we got a game number 5 on the menu. Completely different than our first series we saw, where that was a 3-0. This one is looking a lot closer. Let's talk a little bit about the series that we've had so far between these two teams, because, for Alabama, we shaped up that we knew their hardpoint wasn't very good, but, everything else other than that, I mean, this team has looked well put together.
Yeah, if we win our search and destroy and we steal a control, we can take the series! Woo! Woo! That's what that's what the Crimson are saying right now. The hard points have been lackluster. We knew that coming into the series. We knew it was going to be a pain point. Newberry takes those swiftly, but let's talk about the hotel control. It's a matter, excuse me, Hotel Search and Destroy. It's a map we haven't seen on stream tonight, but one of my favorite maps in the game, specifically for Search and Destroy. This isn't one of those maps where it's like, all right, we can just push the same site over and over and over again like Mercado. This is, we have some variability of what we're able to do, whether we want to go towards A or over towards B. So this is going to be nice because it's going to allow the offense to truly have a set amount of adjustments that they can make throughout the course of a game, whether that be some aggressive hits over towards A, or maybe towards B, or a 3-1 split, whatever it could be. But realistically, as long as you're on defense, the name of the game is making sure that the other team cannot take control of middle map, because once you lose the middle of the map, yikes, it's not going to be good for you, buddy.
No, it's not easy to, reclaim that space in the map for a hotel, for sure. A couple things, to talk about for map 2 as well. I think, our big focus point for Bama was their communication was probably their worst opponent in that game. Newberry were giving up so many open, like 4v2s, and that they would have to clutch up, and they did clutch up, but I think that was Alabama's own fault that those clutch ups were happening. So if they've talked that over, if they've kind of ironed out those issues, then I can imagine that Bama are going to be some pretty gnarly search and destroy players going into this hotel, along with we saw MSJ with the sniper. I don't want to see him with the sniper at all. I want to see him with nothing but a Vaznev in his hand.
Honestly, no, I'm with you on that. I will say this: you just can't let MSJ and Nyko both drop 13 and combine for 26 apiece if you want to win this game. If you are Newberry, it seems like a very easy task to do, but if you allow them to get into your backline again, it's going to be very difficult. But on a map like Hotel, it's a lot harder to get behind the enemy lines than it is on a map, say, like a CeeLo that we were playing in the first Search and Destroy. So this bomb has started to make its way over towards A.
You say that, but I don't think they know Freaky's up top patio. I think that has completely gone unchecked.
It's how long he's taking to make this route that makes it like so much more difficult, because we saw like on Osilo, like the defense, like they weren't going to get like into their spawn side in the first 20 seconds of the round.
Yeah, like MSJ's trying his best to get through shops, but again, he's taking a long time. Here's Freaky now. Looking through mid, Freebie onto Zach, and that's going to open up the floodgates now to get onto side. Diff's going to shut down the flank. Big read onto MSJ in this bomb. I mean, this round is going all the way to the wayside. It is the Freaky show out here.
That's pretty. And again, you make the right calls here. If you are Newberry, you realize, hey, how are they killing us over and over again? What were the pain points in our first Search and Destroy? Well, it was the flank. What do? They send Diff to watch it around this time. MSJ, of course, the person we expect to be on the route all the way through the backside, loses the gunfight there. That automatically puts them down 2 lives with that first kill coming in through Freaky. He gets in the back line of the enemy. He cuts them down from behind. It's a great first round there on offense. They didn't even need to get the bomb down for them to take that.
Onto the offense now for Newberry. What kind of, or onto the defense. Apologies. What kind of setup are we going to get through for themselves? Freedom's just going to barrel his way into bottom bedroom, and Nyko on Godhead. He picks off Freaky. Cells finds his way into the middle of the map. Back and forth trades. It's a very scrappy round of Search and Destroy from both teams, But the fact that Cells gets away and his setup through the middle of the map, and this is chance for yet another flank. Oh, and Diff gets the bomb carrier too, so everything's going to lay onto the shoulders of Freedom.
They have no idea where Freedom is, though. That's like the one advantage he has here. But as soon as he throws that nade, they should get some information with the audio cues. Cells is going to come through the back line of Church. I don't know why did I just say Church? To the backs of the bar, excuse me. Dude, mental fog. He's on the defuse, though. He's got to run through. Freedom not going to be able to find himself with the kill. Watches over the top of his teammate. They'll take the round good.
That's good comms from Newberry. It's one thing that is apparent from Hotel to, or from in Hotel from Elasilo is these opening engagements, they're not giving them away for free. Newberry's doing a good job at trading them out, making sure that Alabama get punished for these over-aggressive plays, and Cells staying alive, bottom couch, rotating around the map, being able to set up on the pillars like that while your teammate's defusing. You couldn't ask for a better setup on that defuse.
To the offense here. Bomb works its way over towards A. Nade gonna be up. They're gonna get full control here out towards the bar. Do they spot the cross from Freaky? I don't think they did.
Not again. Not again. Freaky opens things up. Cells watches the flank yet again. Shuts down MSJ. I mean, this is just... Again, I'm getting deja vu to round 1. And Bama can't do anything. They can't even keep their heads on their shoulders at this point. They're lost on hotel. You need to go back to the reception desk, get their room key, and figure out what to do next.
With 45 seconds left, yeah, you have a decent amount of time, but realistically, like what do you do here if you're Freedom? Like, you have no information on where like 2 of the people are on the map. They're so spread out, and like even if you isolate a one-on-one gunfight, there's just so much rotational opportunity to be able to get back into each other. So it's like you don't have an opportunity to win the round there. And what did we talk about is the difference between El Asilo and this map? You're not easily able to get behind the opponents, which was basically the entire plan that MSJ and Nyko had for themselves in those early and late rounds of the El Asilo. They're not putting themselves in those positions. They literally can't do it. In the aggression from Newberry, they just seem so much more comfortable to be able to take space on the map than they did on Asilo, because there's not as many corners that they have to check. It's a much more open map, a lot less ratty, and it makes for a lot better search and destroy gameplay, at least in my opinion. And right now, Newberry, they're just running with the torch. Alabama, it's been 3 straight rounds that you've lost, and you have to have a response here.
This is where you need to see the turnaround. But for Newberry, I mean, their experience is flourishing in this Game 5. They've only played 2 series, or completed 2 series inside of College COD, and both of them go to a Game 5. Both of them go to a round 11. I mean, they've been here, done that, and you can see that Bama just maybe a little winded towards the end of this. You're definitely right to say that this is a must-win round for them, and as Zach just kind of playing with his food through the middle of the map, gets information onto 1 for Catwalk, 1 towards Jacuzzi, and nobody on the rest. I mean, they're so hesitant to even cross onto this A site. Information's going to be there. The first blood's a trade.
Nyko gets pushed up the map. He does what Freaky did the last time. Are they going to be able to read that he's in the back line? The answer is no. 35 HP will escape with his life, but it's a 2 versus 2 with 40 seconds left. Information to Cells now and towards the bottom of the middle of the map. And now Nyko lasts alive in a 1 versus 2.
It's the clutch player for the team, and there it is. 1 versus 1. Nyko escapes again. Dead silence popped. Cells doesn't know, but he's going to meet him on the other side. It Cells. Oh, man. Ego chows around the corner. Cells makes it happen. 6-1. Cruise missile acquired. 4-0 start for Newberry.
2 offenses, 2 defenses, and still, that's the first round that really felt like it had any sort of impact on the game. Other than that, it's just been clean cut Newberry, a good feeling and a good sense of their advantage in every round. And Alabama, sorry pal, but the clock is ticking. There are 3 players right now that are combining for 2 kills. Nyko's the only one that's had to step up. MSJ has had a very significant drop-off. He is on donut alert after 4 rounds.
Cells might be playing for the cruise missile. And he is. The information's going to be there. I mean, it's hotel. Why not use the cruise missile? You're not going to find a kill with it most of the time. You're just going to get the information. They get it. They understand that majority of the stack is going to be towards B, so they move this back over towards A. Unfortunate part for Newberry is Zach gets the information, and they have first blood. They can play their numbers for the retake.
Middle of the map has been controlled here by Alabama, but Freaky just takes the advantage to himself, puts the first step forward, starts pushing his way up all the way into the middle, and he's able to find one now, making a second. Nyko falls, and now MSJ, the last one alive, got great timing through a flank, but now everybody has turned around the map. Sells the first one to fall. It's still a 1 versus 2. Plenty of time to work here, but it's also a flank route coming through from Freaky.
MSJ, uncharacteristic slow start to this game. Number 5 was 0-4 before that, and it's going to end the round 1-5. 5 rounds through. Newberry uncontested here inside of game number 5, and it is all because of this player right here, Freaky. 8-3, just opening up these rounds, you know, moving the advantage back into your team's favor there. I mean, Freaky's doing it all.
I mean, he hasn't gotten a kill every round, but the round that he's found multiple kills in, they've been round wins. It was the first round, the second round, and that last round right there where he's found multiple, at least 2 in each of those rounds where they've been able to go ahead and walk away with them. Obviously, they haven't lost a round yet, but regardless of that fact, it's still the fact that he's been such an impactful player in each of those rounds, respectively. Nobody's going to be challenged up through the kitchen here early on. Bomb's going to be murking its way over towards this B site. You do have Cells and Diff all the way in the back lines. You need to play this a little bit more aggressively, and if you are going to play it aggressively, there needs to be somebody else here.
Davis on the heady, and MSJ just going to peek in for a second, immediately backs up, rightfully so. I mean,
Diff stuck.
Barely missed that, but yeah, you're right. They are trapped in this position. 4 versus 4. They just got to box it out on the inside, and Cell says, okay, bring it on! Diff gets a second one. Nyko, He doesn't want to go in there. He doesn't want to dance with these players. Instead, he's going to cut towards Catwalk, and who's there? It's going to be Freaky. A full collapse from Alabama Crimson, and Newberry a 6-0 sweep in Game 5.
Gonna take a quick look at my watch here. Looks like that took us about 5 minutes to get through the entirety of the search and destroy right there. That is a clinic from start to finish on how you close out a series. You win the first map, the fourth map, you win the last map as well. Instead of it being a 2-3-5, you go a 1-4-5, and the hard points go your way, and once again prove to be Alabama's substantial beneficiary to the opposition, of course, that is. So, hey, look, it was cool that they won maps 2 and 3, but the LSELO, when you play on a map that plays like that, yes, you're going to be able to rat out. You're going to be able to find yourself good opportunities around the map. But when you play Hotel and you want to make a good push all the way over towards a specific site, you have to execute on it. You can't force something up, give the information to the other team that, hey, we're pushing this site, and then not make any use of that initial aggression that you have. You're forcing yourself at least a 4 versus 2 on the site, maybe a 4 versus 3. But again, as you mentioned, you have to box that out. You can't allow the rotation to start making its way through there. And once you lose that first life, especially over towards the kitchen and get that bomb down, you're not winning the round. You have no opportunity. You have no out for a rotation. There is nothing there for you except to take that fight. And what happens? They lose the gunfights like they did throughout the majority of the hard points. And once again, Newberry will survive in a 5-game series that goes down to the wire.
All 3 series inside of this season that Newberry has played. It's the first time we get to see them inside of College COD, and all 3 of them go to a Game 5. 2 out of the 3 go to round 11. This one, you don't need it. Their experience outweighs Bama Crimson inside of this Game 5 situation, and it's a little bit outclassed on Hotel Search and Destroy there. So, go back to the drawing board, for, maybe your second match of this week. If you're Bama, you just need to see some changes for sure inside of that map. And on your hard point, especially as we look back to the series, I mean, those hard points for Newberry looked outstanding.
Cut and dry series. I mean, it was close. It was fun. But I think we got to see this Newberry team get tested really for yet another time. I don't want to say the first time because it wasn't. But Alabama, this is the situation where you now fall to. The only win that you have in a best-of-5 series is against a team that forfeited the matchup against you. So you haven't still won a series yet. You've gotten closer and closer. Multiple close series that have gone down to the wire towards the end with maybe a map 5. But, some of those losses, 1-3s in there that you have, they're not boding well. And we have, what now? 4 or 5 teams that are far above you in terms of the rankings with, still a lot of Call of Duty left to play, but you've already gone through a substantial amount of good top teams within your division that you're going to have to be fighting against later in the year. Those tiebreakers aren't going to go your way. Those late season games, although you might win a few, all you're fighting for at this point is going to be a dwindling mid-pack opportunity unless this is the series that clicked things for you and gave you that kick in the rear that you needed to get things into high gear.
Yeah, slow and steady might be, the pace that we're seeing for Bama. You got LCQ, if regular season isn't, going to work out for you, but you're going to be looking for a turnaround for sure from this team in the future to see, when Bama's back on the map for College COD. Are they going to find their dub here? We're going to get ready for our map number 3, and don't forget to show some love to our sponsor, America's Navy. Couldn't be here without them whatsoever. If you, for a full or for a limited time, future active duty soldiers who leave for boot camp before March can earn and enlist for a bonus up to $115,000. So the Navy, which allows you to earn a college education at their expense, might be what you're looking for. Go show some love to America's Navy. Check them out. And we're going to get set up for this match number 3. We got High Point. We got James Madison. 2 big hitters inside the division. We're going to do a break. And what we see on the side, we're going to set things up.